situations. Same thing that happened in Nazi Germany. And so we put cameras on everybody. What happens, Dave, when all of a sudden we're under martial law and all of the police force has these little cameras that show everything they're doing? So if they're given an order, shoot on these rioters, they're traitors, shoot them and kill them. And they go, well, wait a minute, no, they're fellow Americans. You were ordered to shoot and kill. If you don't have a job, and there's no jobs around to be found. Do you want to put that on your family? See, the way the Nazis controlled people and even had people that loved Germany, not Nazis, but Germany. Just like Americans can love America, but not the current administration or the socialist, communist agendas or Islam agendas that are being played out here. So the thing is that as an individual, we don't mind being a martyr. We don't mind taking a firm stand. But what if they got guns, or what if they've already arrested your family members, your wife and your children, and they said they're going to kill them if you don't do things our way? So very patriotic, very loving people can end up becoming traitors. And this is what they're playing against us now here in America with the police. I mean, every time you turn on the news, you see either cops that are beating up minorities in the city, or minorities are actually starting to gun down and assassinate cops. We just had one, die here not too long ago, who was just filling his car up with gas at the end of his shift.
Yeah.
And the guy comes up and plugs him, several times, and he's on the ground. He plugs him a couple more times.
Yeah. Jim, what about false flag situations? If, for instance, let me give you a for instance. This last week we had a newscaster and her cameraman that were gunned down at an interview that they were doing with a city councilman, I think, with the town where they lived in, and so anyway, the cameraman happened to, after being shot, drop his camera, and you could actually see the shooter, and anyway, so supposedly right after that, some other video comes out, Jim, and I'm not kidding you, and I think you've seen it if you've been looking at your Facebook because I posted it on there. But so the cameraman's view is of a maybe a medium color African American man, but they have another frame there where we're actually showing a hand pulling the trigger of the weapon that was used to kill those people, well, supposedly, and the hand is white, and no doubt that it's white, and the shirt that the hand is wearing, or the arm is wearing, that portrays the hand or carries the hand, has a blue long sleeve shirt with lines on it, making it almost look like a plaid. Nothing like what the shooter was wearing when the cameraman dropped his camera.
Yeah,
and so you have this going on there where they're actually showing things that make it more graphic, that make it to make the people even more, what am I trying to say? They don't want the
upset or aroused.
Yeah, exactly. And so anyway, so not only is there bad things going on, or are there bad things going on, there are the government is trying to perpetuate it by making it worse, by showing things that actually didn't happen, i.e. a false flag situation, right?
Yep, and that same trick was what Germany did on its people.
The Reichstag fire?
Yep, the Reichstag fire being the biggest one. The idea was that the people had to see that there was an enemy out to get them. The Nazis justified it, well, they would have done it if they had the chance. We're just letting them see what they are like, by the actions they've already said they want to do. So we create it so that they will be fearful, and in that fear, they will give up certain liberties, certain freedoms, to be safe. Mm-hmm. So many multiple things going on. You create a nanny state. You create a desire to have a generation that can be shaped and molded into what you want. This is why even in our country, most older people that are looking for jobs right now do not get jobs. They don't want people that are experienced and have wisdom, because they want the young people just out of college that are new, fresh, impressionable, and can be shaped, formed, and molded the way they want them. They don't care about a person's expertise or wisdom that they might have. They don't want that, because that is what would challenge what they're trying to shape, form, and mold.
Well, yeah, Jim, that's why the military, recruits people that are anywhere, 18 years old up to 24 is is the people that they like to recruit. And that's because, like you said, you can mold them. They're inexperienced in life, but an older person, like say that was in close to 40 years old, you bring him into the military and you tell him to do certain things, and he's going to go, "What are you, crazy? I'm not going to do that," right?
Yeah, right, exactly. Because by then they're starting to understand and know better.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
But that's across the board in any military. But still, it is a part of the plan to reshape and reform a nation to accomplish what you want it to accomplish. Especially if it's a nation that's used to having freedoms. How do you take that away from them without them rioting or creating a revolution? You scare them into it by making them think that by giving themselves up certain liberties, they're being protected. Ask any liberal; he'll tell you. He'll explain the whole thing in great detail how it works. Of course, it's la la land. It's not reality. Let's be afraid of guns, bad guns. They, lay them down on a porch and they're going to go kill somebody. They're just, it's even having an announcement. Can you imagine a signed gun-free zone? Oh, hey, there's the easy picking way.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know of any criminal that's going to go look at a signed gun-free zone. Oh, we can't go there. There's no guns allowed.
Right.
And that's the logic, of a liberal. It's just, there is no logic. I've got a criminal who has no regard for law in the first place is going to look for easy pickings. They see a gun-free zone. This is where I go. Nobody's
exactly
except me. I like that. You go into another area that says, forget about the dog, worry about me. And it's got a picture of a gun with facing towards you, a hand with a gun. That's they're not going to probably go there. Because they know this person probably a little bit, spend a lot of money on a big gun, and he's more than willing to try to use it to protect his home and family. So, it's just some people can be scared into it, and some people have to be intimidated into it or threatened into it. So this is, I think, what we're beginning to see in America, and it was the same thing that happened in Nazi Germany. What a lot of people don't realize is that at the end of World War II, the General SS Reinhard Gehlen had surrendered to the Allies. He was the highest level intelligence officer in the Eastern Division of SS intelligence. When he surrendered, he had buried everything that he had on information on the Eastern Division, which would be on Russia. He buried them in 55-gallon drums in the mountainsides, and then he surrendered and he said, "Hey, I've got all this information. Set me free, and I'll help you guys get all this information on Russia. And, oh, by the way, you were impressed that we almost eradicated a sector of the population without anybody even knowing it. You were impressed at all the fun things that you captured at the end of the war, circular disc aircraft, Die Glocke, some of our atomic bomb things that we had started working on, and many other things, MK Ultra, mind control, the cloning, all of this. You're really impressed with that. Well, let me tell you, if you want, I can come over and help change your OSS into a new organization that will emulate after the way we do things. Compartmentalization, the bullying, the terrorizing, the ability to manipulate laws and create a free path for the government to do whatever they want. This is exactly what happened at the end of World War II when Reinhard Gehlen helped convert the OSS into the CIA. In 1949, I think it was like 47% of the CIA were ex-Nazi officers that should have been probably hung at the Nuremberg trials. Right. So we're all cleaned up, and they were brought over here, and they ended up becoming, because these individuals, like the Nazi scientists from Paperclip, they were highly educated, they were connected to the rich elite, old monies of Europe. So when they come over here, they started filling the top positions in our own areas of academia, of our security, our very infrastructure of everything. And it eventually seeped into radio, news, media, every facet of our life, in our colleges, in our corporations, in our security systems. 60 years later, 70 years later, we have become what we once fought against in a battlefield. So
Right.
same strategies, the same people in many cases, and the same implementation of how they did things in Germany are being replayed here by a fifth column of a Fourth Reich thriving in the United States of America. So none of this is new. It's all traceable. All you have to do is start reading on the history and the development of how Nazism took over in Germany, and how they placated a mass population. We always hear from the Muslims that, well, the majority of Muslims are peaceful. It's only the extreme radicals. Well, in Nazi Germany, only, I think it was 12% of the population were Nazi members of the Nazi Party. And they
Right.
killed 50 million people in World War II. So I guess the majority of peaceful people really didn't count or add up for nothing, did it? Because that small minority was able to do what they wanted to do by snowballing, by propaganda, by twisting, by false flags, by manipulation from within the structure. By the time Kristallnacht happened, now that was in 1938. Kristallnacht was the blatant, open attack on Jews. There had been a lot of rhetoric. There had been a lot of movies and books and articles posted through the media on anti-Semitism. But it finally came to a full manifestation on, let's see, do you remember what Kristallnacht was? I can't remember. I thought it was
in October.
yeah.
I'm maybe thinking of Night of the Long Knives, though.
Yeah, that was in September, I think.
Yeah.
But, well, anyways, it was in 1938. That I do know. Kristallnacht was the night when the night of the broken glass. That's what Kristallnacht means. They made all of the Jews put the Star of David in Juden on their storefronts. Anything that was owned by Jews.
November 9th and November 10th of 1938. Yeah.
Okay, and so what they did, they went around and they busted up and burned all of the buildings and broke all the glasses to all the synagogues, everything that was Jewish owned. It just was a full attack. And it was maybe not very long after that the Jews started being rounded up, relocated to work camps, and isolated and separated. This was the beginning of the final solution, the extermination of Jews. And by the time they did that, Hitler had become chancellor in 1933. By 1938, he was able to round them all up, gather them, put them into concentration camps. And everything he did was fully legal by German law. Matter of fact, every atrocity that he ever did in Germany was fully legal by German law.
You know what played a big part into that too, Jim? I feel anyway is Martin Luther's look on his paper that he wrote about the Jews way back in the 1500s, where he basically, you'd have to read it, folks. It just talks about he talks about how much he reviles the Jews, how they're guilty for just about everything that happens in society, and how they're not human and everything else. And so I think that, Jim, that had a lot to do with the placing that into this I hate to use the word psyche, but of all the German people, because I'm sure most of them had read that work one time or another, don't you think?
Yeah. And the fact, too, is that God still has protective hand upon the Jews, even though they were no longer his people, according to what Jesus said in Luke. Done this, the kingdom of God will be taken from you and given to a nation that brings forth the fruits thereof. My claim is that was the United States of America. And so the scepter had transferred from the Jews to the Gentiles at the time of the Gentiles, and literally from the tribe of Judah to the tribe of Dan, the founders of the United States of America. So there was a transference there, but there was still God's protective hand on those that were faithful to him, to what they knew. So a Jew that was still faithful to the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, a remnant was going to be spared. So the interesting thing when you look at the history of Jews, even in Europe, especially during the time of the Reformation and everything, where you better become a good little Catholic or you're going to be, tortured and dismembered and killed in the name of the Holy Father, not the Father God either. We're talking about the Pope,
Right.
the Inquisitions and everything. Well, was during that time that for some twisted reason, the Gentile Christians had gotten so far away from understanding their Jewish roots, they looked at the Jews as being the enemy and never having any part connected